I'm Marcus Westbury. I'm the founder of Renew Australia, and I was a losing contestant in the Battle of Big Thinking this afternoon. I guess I came into the Battle of Big Thinking, trying to argue against trying to think too big. I guess I was trying to be a bit provocative and a bit of a counterpoint to some of the other discussions. But I was all trying to argue for the value, of thinking small and thinking about how things work at the small scale. Everyone's got a big idea, everyone's got a grand master plan. There's a million ideas that will work if you've got $1 billion. How does it work for the rest of us? And a lot of my work, a lot of my projects are about making things viable at the small scale for people who have limited resources, imagination, creativity, who want to make things happen. I'm just really interested in the idea of creativity as experimentation, as something you do. And one of the arguments I was trying to run today is that there's incredible growth in self-perpetuating creativity at the moment. There's a lot more people making a lot more things than there has ever been in the past. The number of jewellers making stuff in this country has gone up by about 800% in a decade, So you've got these incredible growth rates, and I think one of the interesting challenges in advertising and marketing is that it's not a passive society anymore, We're makers, not consumers, Increasingly, creation is displacing consumption as the thing that we do that gives us value in life, and I think that's a very good thing. I think it's interesting, like a lot of the work I'm doing is with empty retail spaces. There's a big growth in empty retail space. That's partially structural, like it's economic shifts in terms of people buying more online, there's cyclical economic factors, downturns, all of that's part of it, certainly. But I think it's also a bigger picture shift in terms of what people derive enjoyment from and what their expectation of place is about. So, it's kind of interesting, like whilst there is a dive in demand for traditional retail space to sell stuff that you bought in boxes that came from China, there is a surge in demand for space for creation and collaboration. And a lot of the people that we're working with are setting up co-working spaces, or they are makers who are designers, they're artisans, they're craftspeople who are retailing at the margins. They're selling what they do, but they're not retailers in the traditional sense. And I think that's it's an interesting, like looking at how that's affecting retail is part of a bigger ecology of how that's affecting people who have, who think that their engagement with the audience is about getting people to passively consume more product. I think people increasingly want to make and be part of what they do. I think that dynamic is shifting, and I think it's got a big, there are marketing opportunities and marketing challenges that go with that. One of the scariest things though is a project like Renew Newcastle. We haven't taken out a single ad. We've done 50 projects, we've made big it's all been done on word of, I've sent out one media release in 4 years, and yet this project's been in media outlets all around the world. It's been really interesting to see the power of social media and the power of kind of word of mouth to coalesce a community around the sort of things that we've been doing as well. And obviously there's great potential in that, particularly for a project like ours, where there's really authentic capacity for lots of people to get involved in shaping and engaging it. They're part of it. They're not just passively consuming it. But it's been really interesting the way you couldn't have done a project like ours through traditional marketing and advertising. It's been all about getting social media, getting communities engaged, and moving just beyond social media marketing to social media as a platform for engagement and involvement, and that seems to make a really big difference. For me, it's really useful to just sort of gauge the reactions from this audience and see how those people get involved. But it's also interesting, I think, several of the speakers, I think, have planted really interesting seeds that hopefully will morph into possibilities of all kinds for the people that are here.